Hello and welcome to another edition of Scale JDM Reviews. And on the desk you can see today that we have the Toyota Century. This is the Junction Produce version of the kit, known as Gorgeous, as you can see on the main screen there. There is two versions of this kit. There is another version which is has a black box, a black car on the box art. This is the silver one, and it has the alternative wheels, whereas the black box art version has the Junction Produce Scara wheels. This has what looks to be Eurolines or something. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, you know that Junction Produce is a VIP kits maker. They do body kits, they do wheels, interior bits, anything to make the car look VIP looking. It's part of the VIP culture. So it has to be long, low, to make it look expensive, I guess is a good way of putting it. Even though the Toyota Century is an expensive car anyway, it's a good base to start. So let's have a look at the box quickly. So we have all the box art, the Junction Produce labels and badges. This is the VG45 version of the kit, and if we just take a look, there's a lot of writing there that I cannot read. There we go. And there is a picture of the actual car. As you can see, this one on the actual photo is on the Scaras. But it also points out that it has these 19-inch wheels and it has a lovely twin exhaust system. What is classed as, I guess, as a shotgun exhaust. Now, those of you that have been watching this channel, you'll know that I am a massive fan of VIP kits. I have a couple of VIP cars myself, a Toyota Crown and a Toyota Crown Majesta. Absolutely love them. So, of course, I want to build my kits in the same sort of way. And for those of you that are looking at that have not followed the channel, but look at the kit and think, I recognise that kit. Where have I seen that before? You are right. Aoshima do a standard version of the kit, which is just here. So this is what the car looks like as standard. It's very old-fashioned, very kind of high-class Japanese society, elegant, very understated, very conservative. And of course, Junction Produce come along and they make it look like that, which is amazing. I do actually have a review of the original kit, which is on my channel. Just have a quick search through the videos and you will find it there. It is actually a very good kit, a lot of detail, a lot of extras, and even without the Junction Produce body kit and wheels, you can make a lovely looking VIP build. Right, so that's the intro done. Without further ado, shall we see what's inside the box? Okay, so we have the instructions here. Just going to basically go through them. There's quite a few pages in this one, but of course we all know what the end product's going to look like. We'll come to those in a second. And of course I can't review a kit while it's in its bags, so I'm going to use the magic of my video camera to make them all vanish right now. And there we have it. So diving right in, what we have here, I'm going to move this box out of the way so you guys can see clearly what we're looking at. Okay, so we have the front plastic tray that goes under the engine. We have the rear suspension components there, where we've got this spare tyre well. We have obviously all 4 disc brakes, which are very nicely detailed there. These are almost the same as the ones you get in the Kiwami kits, to be fair. We've got the suspension, I would say the steering column, steering rack, and the little stubby bits that obviously keep the wheels attached to the brake discs. We also have a little aerial just there, and there is not as much chrome in this kit than I expected to be, but of course it's a VIP kit, it doesn't need massive amounts of chrome. The rest of the car does it. So we have the lights at the rear light tail section there. We have the front grille, we have the front and back lights, and I think these actually go on the side, these ones. I'm not entirely sure. Also we have the front lights there as well, the fog lights. It is lovely and chromed, but sometimes I find that Aoshima chrome can be very bright. Obviously you can dull this down with a little bit of Tamiya smoke or something like that. Okay, so as mentioned before, we have this lovely shotgun style exhaust. As you can see, it fits under the bumper. The bumper, obviously the ground effects on it come down a bit further, so I've had to adjust the tailpipe section. So these bits would attach to the end there and point up, and probably slightly at an angle, and I think you can just make out there is a slight a slight angle there, so it would actually come out at an angle which would look lovely. Okay, so next we have the front suspension, and this is typical Kiwami suspension. You would find this on any of the Toyota Crowns, the Toyota Celsius, maybe the UCF 3031s. It is virtually identical. In fact, it actually says UCF 31 Celsius. So there you go. It's the same. It's the same kit. They've built the chassis in a very similar way. I don't think the chassis itself is the same. I could be mistaken. We're going to find that out in a second. But yeah, it looks complicated and it is a little bit fiddly to put together. However, when they're in, because these are all screwed in, you can change the height of the actual you can change the height of the physical suspension and the individual wheel, both separately, which are amazing. You can have as much camber as you want or as little. You can absolutely slam it to the ground. So yeah, I can't wait to get this built now. I didn't realise it had this suspension kit in it. So what we have here is a few more parts. We have another under tray there. This is what attaches the chassis to the body, so that will go on there. We have the front wing mirrors and a modified exhaust that will go straight out to the back of the car. We've got the original exhaust pipe just there as well, and obviously the windscreen wipers. And what we have here is the chassis, and I can confirm this is identical to the UCF 31 Celsius chassis, and in fact, to prove that, I will bring a kit that I built earlier. If we just turn that over, you can see they're exactly the same, which is great for Aoshima. On the basis it saves them a bit of money. They don't have to make new molds, and obviously because the way the kit fits and the way it's set up is obviously quite complicated to create a brand new mold just for the Century. I can understand the cost savings, but it would have been lovely to have a bespoke chassis for this one. Okay, so moving on to the interior. The interior is still classic Century, very understated, very contemporary. We have the centre console there for the back, the steering column, the steering wheel, and what looks to be the backs of the front seats. And onto the second interior sprue, we have the very detailed interior. Obviously, I don't know if you can see it close up just there. You've got all the buttons and switches that you need. Very easy to paint up and bring out. The seats are very smooth. I guess it's some sort of very smooth leather in the car. Well, they're saying that most of the Centuries I've seen have had like a velvet cloth interior, which technically would be more comfortable, especially in the winter times when you get in, you don't want to freeze your butt off. So you've got the front seats and a very detailed centre console there as well, plus the gear shift and the rearview mirror and 2 license plates. Right then, moving on to the glass section, we have a one-piece window. We have obviously the front headlight lenses, you've got the tail lights, the indicators and things like that. All nicely detailed, very easy to paint up. Okay, next, looking at these lovely wheels. Let's have a look at them then. So these are, I did think they were Eurolines, but they're not. They are SSR Viennas. Very deep dish, as you can see. These would look amazing on the car. Everybody loves a bit of dish. They are printed in a chrome silver, as you can see, quite shiny and nice. And then you have properly chromed out lips just there. Put these together, and you have some very, very wide wheels. The tyres are not Kiwami tyres, they are proper normal straight sidewall tyres. This is an old kit. They didn't do the Kiwami wheels when this came out, so, or the Kiwami tyres I should say. When I say Kiwami tyres, what I mean is the ones that give you camber. So if you look at the wheel side on, you get them in a lot of new kits, especially like the Champion series, where they have a lot of the wheels are cambered like that. To make them sit lower to the ground, they actually shave off the inside of the tyre all the way around, so it's kind of an odd shape, but it basically makes it sit better. And a good example of this would be on the back of this Majesta here. If we just look at that tyre, you can see the shape of the tyre on my finger here is not exactly straight. So when the tyre sits down like that, the actual tyre itself is flat on the ground, thus allowing you to have a lower looking car. If the tyre was flat all the way across, then the car would sit a couple of millimetres higher up. Okay, we have here the springs and screws for the suspension part. They're fairly self-explanatory. And moving on to the body. This is actually a very big body. It's pretty huge, to be fair, which is great. It's a lot of detail on it. You can see obviously where it was moulded in colour. You've got the where you've got the lines where it was obviously moulded in. I can't notice, I haven't found yet any mould lines. Maybe I just need to look closer, but they do keep the mould lines pretty well hidden, and you can just see it along the body line here, and it goes slightly up and across. I can hardly feel it with my finger, so it wouldn't be too hard to get rid of that. Just outline it with a black marker so you know where it is, and then use some fine sandpaper to get rid of it. That goes down the front A-pillar and across the front fender. But as you can see, they look great with the wheels. Oops. And the fact that the deep dish, obviously you can actually slam it to like that sort of level if you wanted it really low, or you can have it up there for normal driving. That's the beauty of these kits. The customization on them is immense. This is actually a really nicely detailed body, to be fair. Yeah, the body's nice and straight. There we go, Century moulded into the back there. Right, moving on to a couple of other bits. What we have here is we have the chrome film, which you get with a lot of these kits, and it is a lovely shiny piece of chrome. The problem I find with it, as I've mentioned in other videos, is it's a bit too thick, so therefore when I'm doing chrome I tend to use bare metal foil. This does look great when it's on, but getting it around the windows and things like that is an absolute pain in the backside. This stuff goes on much better. It's a lot thinner, it's also easier to tear, but you'll get an actual better look from this. The physical chrome itself is really lovely. It's nice and thick and quite easy to cut, so you can actually use this for the surround of the front and rear bumpers, the doors, anything like that. But I would not use this on the windows, window edges, because bending it around the windows and stuff is an absolute nightmare. It just does not stick. I tend to do these first. I don't know why I've left this to the last moment. These are the Junction Produce Century or decals, and you can see from the number plates they have yellowed a bit. This is a sign of the age of the kit, as I've mentioned in other cases. You do have 2 Junction Produce and 2 smaller Junction Produce labels there. The others are a typical Century. You've got a couple more, just not the camera, sorry. A couple more Junction Produce badges there for the side of the car, and the wheels, which are also Junction Produce wheel caps. We also have the dashboard there and a couple of other bits of Century badge. It's just a shame they've yellowed a little bit, but these, this kit was made a long time ago. But they are in really good condition, to be fair. There's no cracks or anything that I can see, nothing visible. So, body kit time. So we have the Aoshima body, which is lovely detailed. It's very straight, really well made as per Aoshima standards. I can't praise them enough. They are on par with Tamiya with their kits and the way that they're moulded. So I am really happy about that. Obviously, with this being the Junction Produce kit, you get a Aftermarket front bumper, which goes on there. It's a nice deep skirt. You also have the Aftermarket rear bumper with the single outlet for, this isn't going to fit, is it? For that shotgun exhaust that we saw earlier. Makes it nice and low. We also have the side skirt, that's the wrong side. The side skirt door mouldings, which again add a little bit more depth. If we try and get those in the same place, it's going to be about down to there. And a really large rear spoiler for the boy racers in you. Yeah, so we also get new wing mirrors as well for the Junction Produce to bring the car up to date, because the originals would sit on the front fenders. These will sit in the normal place as a normal car would, just like that, next on the front door. But all the parts are lovely and detailed. You can get some really nice chrome detailing done on these. Obviously that front bumper is very deep. Again, when you adjust the suspension, get it slammed down, you can actually have this touching the ground, which will look fantastic. Yeah, I'm very impressed with that. So onto the instructions. Let's take a look, see where they differ from the originals. We have the car there, which is obviously looking lovely. A lot of writing which I simply cannot read. We're going to have a look at the plan of the car. The The wheels obviously on this plan are looking a little bit smaller than the ones you get in the kit. They are the same wheels, but they're just smaller for some reason. But you get the basic overview. This is obviously where the decal placements are all going to be, and the various colours you can paint it. So moving swiftly on. So the first thing it does is it gets you to paint up the chassis just there. I don't know whether you bother. I certainly don't sometimes. Just leave them black as they are because not many people ever see them. Again, we have the standard wheels with the poly caps that you put on, and the flat square tyres, as I said earlier. We have the brakes, which are the Kiwami style brakes, and the little axle stubs to keep the wheels moving. Obviously, some people glue them on. We've got the front suspension, which does work. It does move. You will get little spaces, like almost like little circlips just there, which pop into place and keep everything so it still moves and a bit flexible, along with keeping the steering. And as you can see now, we get into the complicated section, which is where the screws and the springs all fit in. Now you may need to get yourself some masking tape just to hold everything in place while you screw everything in. That's what I do. It makes life a lot easier. The rear suspension is the same, and you've got a couple of little spaces, so you can, as I mentioned before, you can adjust the whole suspension setup because it is completely separate. And then once you've adjusted that to where you want to, you can use the screws that we've got here to individually adjust each side of the suspension. So there's 4 screws in technically in that whole suspension setup in the front. The back is pretty much the same. It's got springs so you can do individual wheels or you can do the whole thing. So basically what it means is it gives you the choice whether you can have the suspension where you want them. And then what you can do is you can use the inner screws here, which adjust the height of the actual suspension setup. So you can have camber and have it really low down, or you can have it the wheels straight and still have it slammed down. It does make a difference. So it's just one of those little awesome customizational bits that Aoshima have thought about. There we go. So we've got the front floor pan going in. It's slightly smaller than the standard one with the kit, but it obviously does its job. Then you've got the attachment to help it plug into the body. On the next page we have the rear suspension. This is a little bit more fiddly than the front, but again, bit of masking tape, you're good to go. Just to put it through the centre while the glue dries. Make sure you've got your springs in place, and then literally just screw everything in. We've got a paint code there for the brakes, and at the bottom you can see the screws. Voila. And you've got 2 more screws which actually hold the whole thing into place with its own springs. Like I said, the first time I attempted one of these I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a pain in the backside, but it was a lot easier than I thought. So now we've got the spare tyre well, we've got the shotgun exhaust going in place. Now these little bits here, if you can see them, if you've never made a kit with this sort of suspension before, what this does is this keeps the wheel straight. So when you lower the car, it stops the suspension from flexing either way. So when you don't have the wheels, even though you've got them sat straight, you've got them where you want them to, you put them on the ground and they do bend in a little bit, just because it's small and plastic and it flexes. So these stop that. Again, a nice little extra from Aoshima, and something that a lot of people will probably end up using. We have the interior, so we've got the front and back seats, 2 parts. I always wondered why they did this and didn't mould it in one piece, because you glue them together and you paint them and you're going to have a massive line through it. So unless you then fill and sand it down and then primer it and then paint it, which is quite a big job for just a couple of seats, it almost seems a bit pointless. I don't know why they would have done that, unless I will have to check with other kits, but maybe the front seats are the same in other kits but the backs are different. Who knows? Money saving. Anyway, so we've got the dash and everything that goes in there, the colour coding for everything, just to get it how you want it. And then it's time to put it all together. There you go. So you've got this centre console. If you look at reference pictures on the internet for the centre console, they do look fantastic. And obviously the limousine versions of the Century, the ones that are even longer, have a lot more stuff in them as well. Then it's down to the glass at the bottom, across, and then you are onto the body kit with the fog lights, indicators going into the bumper. You've got the wing mirrors there, how everything fits in, and then the side mouldings. And then we are on to the rear light bar. This is going to be for the reversing lights. You've got the huge, great big ducktail style spoiler and the deep rear spoiler, and everything going into place. And then it's just a case of putting it all together, as you can see at the bottom. I'm actually really looking forward to building this. I was looking forward to building the original, but I'm looking forward to building this more. So here we go. Plan layout of all the parts in the kit. There is a lot of parts in this kit. It's not an easy kit to build. There are a lot of fiddly things, but parts that are not needed. You've got these little axle stubs here. They're too short for the brakes and the suspension used in this kit, so you need the longer versions, which are just here on this sprue here with the front suspension. Obviously this front plastic under tray for the engine is not needed because you have the smaller one, which is just there. And that's about it. Not a lot of wastage on this kit, not a lot of spares, and I always keep these little axle stubs just in case we need them for other things. We've also got another attachment piece there. I'm guessing that was for this Celsius body, so it won't fit on this one. We're going to be using number 29 there, which is slightly smaller. But yeah, happy. The kit instructions are very well laid out, and you should be able to get a very good kit out of it. So yeah, my verdict on this kit: beautiful, or gorgeous, as I should say. As it says on the box, it is an absolutely amazing looking kit. The kit itself is very rare. So if you're after one, the best places you're going to find one is going to be on Yahoo Japan, or YAJ as a lot of people call it, Yaj. You can use a third-party epoxy site to use those, anything like Aftermarket, Noppin, anything like that. Be warned, they are very expensive. I've seen this kit regularly go for well over £100. That's before you put shipping and postage on, which can sometimes double the price. If you do get an opportunity to buy this kit, do it, especially if it's for a good price, £50 or less. It's probably one that I will build. I don't like to build kits as rare as this, but I really do want to see this one on my shelf. I definitely recommend buying this, and I definitely recommend buying the standard version. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please look through my channel for the other kits that I've reviewed, and just if you've got any comments, if there's any kits that you would like to see, I have got a number of kits coming, including some very, very rare dome kits. If there's anything else you want to see, just drop us a line. Okay, take it easy guys, have a good one, bye.